Python is an object-oriented programming language. That means almost all the code is implemented using a special construct called class. What is class? A class in Python is a blueprint from which specific objects are created. We use classes to keep related things together. Class allows us to logically group our data and functions in such a way that it is easy to reuse in the form of objects. For example, if we are constructing a house, our house plan, which is a blueprint, which is a class. With the same blueprint, we can construct several houses. These can be considered as an objects. So basically the class contains variables and methods. Now let's start creating a simple class. We will have only one variable. We are not going to have functions in the very beginning. We need to use a keyword called class to define class, then followed by name, class name, colon, x equal to 10. We're done with class definition. Let's create an object. So C1 equal to my first class. Now let's get value of x on object C1 dot x. When you run, you're getting x value. You can create multiple objects. C2 equal to my first class. You can get reference x. We will introduce a function. Now let's have another example. Class, my class, and let's define a function. We need to use def keyword get value. We'll discuss about self a little later. This function in this example just prints something. Inside method. Now we are done with class definition. Let's create an object. MC is our variable which stores the object reference we are going to create, my class. Now let's invoke get value method on MC object reference. MC dot get value. So the print statement has been executed. What is self here? It is an argument to the function which gives the reference of its own object we created in this class. So if you notice, what exactly I'm saying, this self passes the object, whichever object we create, right? It passes the object reference to this method. In this case, we have created the MC object. This reference will be passed to get value method. Any function you create in the class, self is mandatory, and that must be the first parameter. But it need not be only one. You can have multiple other parameters also. But remember that self must be the first parameter any function inside a class. Now let's see how we can use a self. We'll write another simple example with a method and multiple parameters. Or we'll modify the same one, class, my class. I'll define two variables, x equal to 10, y equal to 20. Now inside this method, I'll print x value. So now if I do this, if I run this, what is going to happen? We are getting error, and the value is name x is not defined. So now here you can get x using object reference, which is in turn you can receive by self.x. So hope you understood why self is required. So now let's add more code into this function. Get sum of these two, z equal to self.x plus self.y and print z. When you run this code, we are getting value 20. We also discussed that self is not the only parameter the method is going to have. We can have another parameter also. So now let's add another parameter, comma, factor, and we'll just update our code. We are doing sum here and we multiply with factor, right? Now when you run, oh, I'm sorry, I have introduced factor here, but I'm not passing the value factor here. 10. Notice that even though self is defined in the function definition, while making a call, we are not passing self here. That's a default one, will be taken care by Python itself. I'm only sending a factor input as an input here. Now when I run here, I'll get an out. I will get an output. So this is about a class with variables, one simple function. Let's talk about another important class called constructor. A constructor is a special type of method or function which is used to initialize the instance members of the class. The name of the constructor is always same as init. Um, for your information, uh, it will be look like init. So this is called a constructor. This is a method. It looks like, its a syntax will look like this. While creating an object, a constructor can accept arguments if required. When we create a class without a constructor, Python automatically creates a default constructor in general, which does nothing. Now, let's create another class with constructor and few methods. Now, I'm going to create a class for person. Then I'll have a constructor init double underscore. So self is mandatory here and name, age, gender. So now, as we discussed, constructors will be the first one called when you initialize any object, and you can initialize the class variables or instance variables as part of the constructor. So now I'm receiving name, age, gender. Here these are going to be the instance variables. So you can initialize them. Self dot name equal to name. Self dot age equal to age. Self dot gender equal to gender. So now let's define methods to access these. Def get name, return self dot name, def get age, def get gender, gender. So this is about my class definition. Let's create an object. Person, name, age, gender. So now we have created an object. Let's invoke methods. Get name, edit some mistake. Typo. So now I'm getting name. I'll call age. So similarly, I can create another object with different values. So the object is P2, where name Swami. Now I'm changing the reference. Now when you run, you're getting different values from this object called P2. So this is about classes. There are two types of variables. They are called instance variables and class variables. The basic difference is class variable is a variable that is shared by all different objects of a class. For example, if I define a variable here x equal to 10, which is called class variable, all the objects we create for this class, this will be the shared one. Now if I say p1.x or p2.x, the value is going to be same. But instance variables are variables which are unique to each instance. It is defined inside a method and belongs only to the current instance of a class. For example, here name, age, gender are called instance variables. They are different for each object we create. Those values are different. Now, how to create an object? So we can use the del keyword to create any object. In this case, P1, you can delete. Uh, it's deleted. Now let's say P1.x. When you run it, it says, sorry, P1. Okay, P1 is not defined because it is already deleted. Now when I say P2, we are getting value. Now let's delete P2 also. Del P2, we have deleted. When you access P2.x, it throws an error saying that name P2 is not defined. This is about classes and objects. We will learn more about classes in the coming videos. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel.